The late shift. Darren Mosley hated working the backroom. Unpacking boxes and stacking merchandise under the flickering fluorescent lights of the Waltons' warehouse was grueling, mind-numbing labor. The heavy cardboard containers, filled with electronics and home goods, felt like anchors on his soul. But a job was a job, especially as the sole breadwinner for his family. McFarland, California, wasn't a big city. It was a close-knit Central Valley town where gossip traveled faster than the summer wildfires. This particular Waltons, recently renovated with new signage, paint, and expanded apartments, was the epicenter of local commerce. Hey, Mosley, help me unload this new shipment of patio furniture, yelled Eric, the warehouse manager, a man whose skin permanently held the pasty color of uncooked dough. We've got a whole truckload coming in today. Darren, 34, nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. He already felt like an old man after just half a shift. What about the cameras, Eric? When are they going to install the real ones? Darren asked, glancing at the fake black domes fixed to the ceiling. They say by the end of the month. They're just hanging there for show. Eric scoffed. Corporate was in a rush to open, so they didn't have time to finish everything. They're just there to scare off the thief for now. After his shift, Darren wrestled his weary body into his battered Ford Ranger. His muscles ached, and his thoughts circled back to the evening ahead. Chantel was supposed to cook something special. It was their 5th anniversary. He smiled, remembering how they'd met 5 years prior in this very store. She had been a new cashier, and he was working in sporting goods. Love at first sight, Chantel had called it. As he pulled up to their small, single-story house on a quiet cul-de-sac, Darren noticed the lights were off. That was unusual. Chantel should have been home an hour ago. The house was quiet and empty. No aroma of cooking, no sign of his wife. He found no note in the kitchen, and the dinner preparations hadn't started. Darren pulled out his phone and dialed her number. Hello. Chantel's voice was slightly breathless. Where are you? I thought you'd be home before me. Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. They asked me to stay late. I have to help with the inventory. Darren frowned. Inventory on a Sunday? I didn't know they did that. Yeah, in electronics. A whole batch of new flat-screen TVs came in. I have to check everything. Electronics. That was the domain of the new hire, Ramek Jobby. Tall, lean, with a perfect smile. Darren had seen the female employees flirting with him. He dismissed it until now. Are you working with Ramek in there? A pause. Small, subtle, but Darren caught it. Yeah, him and a couple of others. Listen, I'll be there soon, okay? Could you pick up a bottle of wine on the way? She hung up. Darren slowly sank into his armchair. Something was wrong. The intuition he'd suppressed was now a nagging alarm. Chantel returned a half-hour later, her cheeks flushed, her hair slightly disheveled. She held a bag with a bottle of Merlot. Sorry I'm late. She kissed him on the cheek and went straight to the kitchen. I'll make something quick. Darren watched her, noting the details. Lipstick that hadn't been there earlier, a new blouse beneath her Walton's vest, and a faint smell of a musky men's cologne that was definitely not his. How was your day? He asked, trying to keep his voice casual. The usual hustle, you know. Nothing exciting. She chopped vegetables a little too fiercely, avoiding his gaze. And yours? Not much, except Eric told me the store cameras still aren't working. They're just for show. The knife froze in her hand for a second, then continued its rhythmic chopping. Really? I didn't know that. The next day, Darren deliberately went to the warehouse early. The patio furniture department was in the far corner, a good vantage point to discreetly watch the cash registers where Chantel worked. As he stacked the boxes, he kept an eye in her direction. Ramek showed up around 10 a.m. His shift started later. Tall, slim, and well-groomed. Ramek walked past the cash registers. He nodded to Chantel, and then he did the thing that made Darren's gut clench. Chantel smiled at him. Not a polite work smile, but a specific, intimate smile with a spark in her eye. Mosley, what are you doing? You're paid to work, not to daydream. Eric's voice dragged him back to reality. All day, Darren snuck glances between tasks. During his lunch break, he saw Chantel and Ramek sitting at the same table in the break room. There was an intensity in their looks, a way they leaned in close when they spoke. That evening, back home, Darren couldn't stand it anymore. Do you talk to Ramek a lot? Chantel was rinsing dishes. With who? Don't pretend. The new guy from electronics. She shrugged, continuing to scrub a plate. Just a normal workplace interaction. Why are you asking? I just noticed you two talking a lot. He's new, Darren. Everyone talks to him, helping him settle in. Why is this an interrogation? It's not an interrogation. Just asking. But from her tone, from the way she avoided his gaze, Darren knew. The next few days were torture. Chantel started staying late more often. She paid more attention to her appearance and her cell phone. She'd never locked it before. Now, she kept it face down at all times and even placed it under her pillow at night. On Thursday, while Chantel was in the shower, Darren picked up her phone. It was locked. He tried combinations. Nothing. Then he remembered seeing her enter the code once. 19226, Ramek's birthday. He tried it. The phone unlocked. With trembling hands, Darren opened her apps. Correspondence with Ramek had been deleted, but a cache notification showed recent messages. He found one entry in the note-taking app, Backroom, 10:30 p.m. Friday. The sound of the water turning off in the bathroom made him quickly put the phone back down. His heart pounded. Friday, in the backroom, 10 p.m. Friday morning, Chantel announced she would have an evening shift. I'll be home late. Don't wait up for me for dinner. I switched to a late shift too, Darren lied. At the store, Darren could barely concentrate. During his break, Darren approached the technician setting up computers in the office. Are the cameras working yet? He asked casually. No, buddy, the tech said. The hardware is there, but the actual server hasn't been set up yet. All those black domes are shams. When will they be running? Maybe a week, maybe two. The cameras weren't working. Nobody was recording anything. Darren left work early that evening, feigning a headache, but he didn't go home. He settled into his truck at the far end of the parking lot, where he had a clear view of the service entrance. Time dragged agonizingly slow. At 9:30 p.m., the store closed to employees. He watched the workers leave. He didn't see Chantel, nor did he see Ramek. At 10:20 p.m., Darren got out of his truck. He approached the service entrance. The door gave easily. Someone had left it open. Inside, only the emergency lights were on. Darren moved quietly through the vast, empty warehouse toward the back room. As he got closer, he heard it. Laughter. His wife's laughter. And then a man's voice. Ramek. Darren's hand went for the phone in his pocket, but he hesitated. He threw the door open instead. They were in each other's arms. Chantel gasped. Ramek stepped back. Darren, what are you doing here? Chantel cried. I thought I'd check up on your friendly chat. His voice was dangerously calm. I see you're planning more than a chat. Look, man, Ramek began, stepping forward. We didn't want you to find out like this. Don't you dare call me man. Darren roared. You're sleeping with my wife. Darren, calm down. Let's talk like adults. Chantel put her hands out in front of her. Like adults. He laughed bitterly. Adults don't have secret meetups behind their husband's back. Adults don't lie. His eyes fell on the shelves of equipment. A heavy, metal-headed sledgehammer was nestled amongst the tools. Darren didn't even remember reaching for it, only the chilling feel of the cold handle in his hand. Darren, what are you doing? Put that down. Chantel's voice trembled. Hey, buddy, chill out. Ramek took a step, shielding Chantel. Let's just talk. But Darren didn't hear him. His vision was a blur of red. In one swift, terrible motion, he swung. The hammer connected with Ramek's temple with a sickening thud. He fell without a sound. Chantel screamed. Darren, my God, what did you do? She rushed to Ramek's body. He's not breathing. You killed him. She reached for her pocket. Darren grabbed her arm. No, Chantel. Don't. Let go of me. You're insane. I'm calling the police. The second blow was as precise as the first. Chantel crumpled next to Ramek, her eyes wide, staring at nothing. Darren stood over the bodies, gripping the bloody sledgehammer. He had killed 2 people, but the cameras weren't working. He could fix this. He wiped the hammer and placed it in Ramek's hand. A suicide. Ramek killed Chantel, then, overwhelmed by what he'd done, killed himself. The perfect plan. No witnesses. Darren left the back room, carefully pulling the door shut behind him. He would wait for the call. He would play the part of the heartbroken husband. No one would ever know the truth. Brenda Thompson, the head janitor, arrived at 5:30 a.m. She noticed a dark, oily puddle seeping from under the backroom door. She unlocked the door and shoved it open. A scream caught in her throat. On the floor, in a growing pool of blood, lay two bodies, a man and a woman. A bloody sledgehammer was clutched in a man's hand. Numbly, she pulled out her cell phone and dialed 911. The parking lot was a maze of police cars by 6:15 a.m. Detective Imani Cumulo and her partner, Sergeant Otis Brooks, arrived on the scene. Double homicide, staged as a murder-suicide, Imani concluded after examining the bodies. The grip on the hammer is unnatural, and the wounds are too similar. We need to find the woman's husband, Darren Mosley. Darren was home when the knock came. He opened the door, his face a mask of weary confusion. "Mr. Mosley, I'm afraid we have some bad news," Imani began. "Your wife, Chantel Mosley, was found dead this morning at Walton's. A co-worker, Rashid Jabi, was found with her." "He's dead, too," Darren gasped, his face crumpling. "No. How? What happened?" "We are investigating the circumstances," Otis said calmly. "You said you suspected she was having an affair with a co-worker, with Ramick." "Yes," Darren whispered. "She didn't come home last night. I thought we could work things out. I loved her." Tears appeared in his eyes. "Where were you last night, Mr. Mosley?" Imani asked. "Home, waiting for her. My shift ended at 8, so I came straight back here and waited." "Who can confirm that?" "I was alone. So far, we only have suspicion," Imani told Otis as they left. "Too convenient a suicide. We need evidence." Back at the station, the technicians delivered their findings. The internal cameras were non-functional, but the external cameras aimed at the parking lot were recording. At 10:43 p.m., a male figure exits through the service entrance and quickly leaves the area. Hooded, dark clothing. Strong build. Like Mosley, Imani and Otis drove back to Darren's house that evening. "Mr. Mosley, we have footage from the parking lot camera," Imani said. "At 10:43 p.m., a man with a similar build to yours came out of the service entrance." "It wasn't me," Darren shook his head. "I was at home. Can I see your shoes?" Otis asked suddenly. There were footprints left at the crime scene. Darren, visibly tensed. He returned with a pair of work boots. Imani examined them. "Mr. Mosley, there are marks on these boots that look like blood." Darren went pale. That's impossible. I wasn't there. The last person your wife called before she died was you, Mr. Mosley, at 10:15 p.m. The conversation lasted almost 5 minutes. "What were you talking about?" Darren began to shiver. I don't remember. "We understand that you were furious," Imani said gently. "You found out your wife was cheating on you. You followed her. You saw them together. If you tell us the truth, the court may take emotional state into account. Rage, jealousy are mitigating circumstances." Darren stopped pacing, breathing heavily. "I didn't mean to," he finally whispered. "I just wanted to talk. Tell us what happened." "I found the note. Backroom, 10:30. I knew they were meeting there. I just wanted to talk. I got there. They were together. She said she loved him, that they would leave together. I just wanted to talk. But Ramick started talking down to me, and the hammer was right there. I don't even remember grabbing it. I just remember Chantel screaming. And then she reached for the phone, said I was crazy." He covered his face. "I didn't mean to kill her. I loved her. I loved her." "Darren Mosley," Imani began, her voice formal. "You are under arrest on suspicion of the murders of Chantel Mosley and Rashid Jabi." As Darren was led out of the house in handcuffs, Imani sat behind the wheel. "Why did you suspect him from the beginning?" Otis asked. "Too convenient a suicide," Imani replied. "Too perfect. It just doesn't work that way in life."